In this episode of True Crime Black, we cover the disappearance of a young black man. While working as a television production assistant, he ran off set and has not been seen since. His family has been given very few answers to their questions. They find it hard to believe that their son would run away. What they do believe, though, is that the crew he was working with is hiding something. Terrence Woods Jr. was born on October 24, 1991. He grew up with 3 siblings, 1 sister and 2 brothers. His friends say that he had a very close family. When Terrence finished high school, he attended the University of Maryland for all 4 years. After he graduated, he began working different jobs for production companies filming for television shows. Terrence was able to travel frequently due to the nature of his work. Terrence, who many say had a personality that people were drawn to, made many friends during his time traveling. While working in London, Terrence also attended graduate school at American International University. Terrence's work experience and personality seemingly made him a perfect fit for Raw TV, so he was excited when he landed the job. He arrived in Montana on September 30, 2018. His time at this job would be the catalyst for his disappearance. In 2018, 26-year-old Terrence Woods Jr. returned to the United States after spending several years abroad. Terrence worked in television production and his career took him to many different television sets. When Terrence returned to the United States, he went home to Maryland where he was from. Being close with his family, he was more than happy to be home. Shortly after returning home, Terrence got a job with Raw TV. He would find himself traveling to Montana and Idaho to work on a show called Gold Rush. It was during this time that Terrence began acting out of character. Just a few days after arriving on set, Terrence went to his supervisor and asked for some time off. He told his supervisor that his mother was sick and having surgery and he needed to go home and be with her. This would end up being a lie. Terrence's family was shocked when they learned he'd fabricated a story like that. That was not like him at all. Nevertheless, his supervisor believed the story and he was set to return home on October 10th. Sadly, Terrence would never make it to that day. On the day of his disappearance, October 5, 2018, Terrence was working on a video shoot. The production had moved its shooting location to Idaho at this point. While Terrence and the film crew were wrapping up, Terrence looked at one of the women who was helping and told her that he needed to go to the bathroom. Associate producer Simon G. saw Terrence talking to the woman and noticed that he had dropped his radio on the ground. As Simon began his motion to tell Terrence what had happened, he saw Terrence take off running down a steep cliff. Terrence then went into the forest and has not been seen since. Simon and the other people working in the area attempted to go down the cliff to help him. However, they were having difficulty making it down the cliff due to the rough terrain. It was so rough that some of the people who attempted to help came back with their clothes torn and were bleeding. Terrence ran down the cliff faster than any of them had ever seen before. At 6:41 p.m., they reported Terrence's disappearance to the Idaho County Sheriff. According to those that filed the report, the police did not begin a search until the following day. They said that the late hour would make the search too difficult. When the police did conduct their search, they employed a lot of efforts. They used search teams made up of dogs, ground, and all-terrain vehicles. They also had helicopters that were able to detect body heat flying over the forest. They searched for Terrence for 6 days before they called off the search. This story was extremely confusing for those close to Terrence. His family and friends felt that there were way too many details missing from the story given to them. They were told by those at the scene that Terrence had been dealing with mental health issues the day that he went missing. The Idaho County Sheriff's Office included in their report that Terrence was having a really hard time emotionally and had a mental breakdown earlier that day. That was consistent with the 911 call. The caller, who was not part of the film crew, claimed that Terrence had been dealing with mental health issues the entire time that they were filming. That begs the question, How would someone who was not part of the crew have known what Terrence's mental state was like throughout that day? Terrence's family felt the same way and contacted the caller. When pushed to confirm what they heard about Terrence's mental state, the 911 caller retracted their statement. So that now begs the question, why did they initially claim that he had suffered a mental breakdown in the first place? Terrence's parents, Terrence Woods Jr. and Valerie Woods, believe that there is a cover-up going on. Specifically, they believe that Raw TV, the studio that Terrence worked for, is not being forthcoming with everything that took place when their son went missing. Terrence's mother believed that it was out of her son's character to run off and disappear so suddenly. He was responsible, Terrence's mother said. He wouldn't run away without good reason, unless he was scared. Terrence's family expressed that the crew he worked with made him feel uncomfortable. He was the only black member on the shoot in Idaho, and they believed that he was being mistreated by his coworkers. He had expressed to them that he wanted to return home to Maryland. Raw TV denies that they are hiding anything regarding Terrence's disappearance. A spokesperson said in a statement, "The police have closely examined the case, including Terrence's correspondence with us and others, and found nothing to support the allegations you have put to us." Raw TV also denies that the crew was mistreating him during the Idaho shoot. Simon G. was the last member of the crew to see Terrence before he disappeared. He was also the last Raw TV employee to see Terrence. Apparently, that meant that he was required to notify Terrence's parents of what happened. Raw TV paid for Terrence Sr. and Valerie's flight to Idaho a week after Terrence had gone missing. Simon G. met up with them at the sheriff's office. According to Terrence Sr., Simon started the interaction off by being highly critical of Terrence's work performance. Terrence Sr. said, "The first thing Simon said on the phone and when I met him in the police department was, 'I had high expectations for your son, but when I met him, he didn't stand up to them. I asked him to get me some fruit and he turns to me and says, "What kind of fruit?"" Terrence Sr. didn't understand the point of the story. He expressed that his son had just met Simon and would have no idea what kind of fruit he preferred. Raw TV denies that this conversation ever took place. Nearly 2 weeks after Terrence was reported missing, Raw TV released a statement regarding his disappearance. The statement read, "We can confirm that Terrence Woods, a member of one of our production teams, went missing on Friday, October 5th, in Oro Grande, Nez Perce National Forest. All inquiries regarding the status of the search should be directed to the Idaho County Sheriff's Office." Valerie and Terrence Sr. say that Raw TV was not active in the search to find him. Some people close to Terrence, who also works in the television industry, have avoided weighing in on the case publicly. They don't want to receive any backlash that would jeopardize future employment opportunities or cause them to be blacklisted. Despite those concerns, a former colleague of Terrence has raised concerns about the way in which he was treated while working for Raw TV. An ex-Raw TV employee said that there is a toxic culture at the company. They said, "There was a toxic undercurrent which made me feel very uncomfortable. There were conversations where they would make disparaging comments about people they were looking to hire. It made me feel quite uncomfortable. I've worked on similar feeling shoots, but Raw TV was different in the sense that it felt entrenched within the culture," they said. Raw TV has denied that there is any sort of toxic culture. Gia Tabasco, a friend and former colleague of Terrence, weighed in on the mental health aspect of the story. She expressed that there needs to be better support for people's mental health who are working in television. She says, "You literally just have to fend for yourself. I think it's so sad that it happened to him because he is one of the nicest, calmest, most gentle people. It's not making sense at all. I have to speak out because it's a human life. I don't feel like I should just let this get swept under the carpet. If we have to use Terrence to make an example of that, then so be it." Rochelle Newman is another friend that Terrence made throughout his career working in television. She said that a full investigation needed to be launched into Terrence's disappearance. She expressed that there needed to be an established timeline of events, starting from when Terrence arrived in Idaho and up until the moment that he ran down the cliff and into the woods. Newman also specified that there needed to be a full investigation into the film crew as well. Since the details of Terrence's disappearance are unclear, those close to him have needed to employ other means of bringing attention to his case. A small group of his friends created the Instagram account Find Terrence Woods in order to find an audience on social media. Another friend of his, Andrew Wilfred, has publicly laid part of the blame on Raw TV for not taking more of an interest in Terrence's mental health while he was working for them. Raw TV released a lengthy statement defending itself from those claims. The statement reads, "Terrence was a popular figure at Raw. He was a well-liked and valued member of the production team, and his disappearance deeply affected us all. Terrence went missing in a remote, densely wooded and mountainous area in Idaho that was particularly challenging to search. From the outset, our location team was actively involved in the search for Terrence, and we put a great deal of effort and resource into trying to locate him, which included flying his mother and father, along with 2 of Raw's executives, to Idaho to help with the investigations being carried out by the sheriff's office. We have the deepest sympathy for Terrence's family and friends. It is truly heartbreaking that Terrence has not been found, and we continue to hope that he will be. In such a tragic case, there will inevitably be speculation about his disappearance, which is neither helpful or fair to Terrence, his family, or the crew who worked so hard to try and help. The thorough police investigation has found no evidence to support any of the speculative claims, and this remains a tragedy. The sheriff's office has acknowledged that we did all that we were able to do to help and went well beyond any reasonable expectation in the search. We will maintain regular contact with the Idaho County Sheriff's Office, and the case remains open until it is resolved." The Idaho Sheriff County's office was contacted regarding the status of Terrence's case. They admitted that Terrence's case is still open, but not active. They explained that what they mean by the case not being active is that they do not have anyone actively searching for him. They are still following up on any tips and leads that come in. Without clear answers about what happened to his son, Terrence Sr. says that he has no closure and it has prevented him from healing. "I want justice. I want to find the truth out. Whatever happened to him, that's what I need to know. I'm going to find the truth out one way or another." To this day, Terrence Woods Jr. is still missing.